had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the sunrise.
That this podcast is. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise to talk about it on camera or to include it in the episode, but I'm sorry. I had just thought of the movie Private Parts with Howard Stern, and when he like turns the corner, and obviously it's all summarized up in like a perfect little movie way, but when he turns the corner with being a disc jockey, it's when he's like sort of, and I'm not saying you're doing this, but it's when he sort of like stopped managing his on-air presence and just started being himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, I certainly wouldn't want to share everything he shared and all that stuff, but there was just something interesting about him sort of sharing the truth of his experiences and all that stuff. So that's the nugget I'm latching onto. You know, I feel like the truth of what you're going through is...
I feel like the truth for me, though, is that it is a private experience. Like,
yeah.
Like it is a... Like I'm not writing to make a movie that's going to make me millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And I'm not writing to make a book that's going to sell 100,000 copies or anything like that. Like I'm just kind of doing it because it's interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I just haven't released anything. Like I've never gotten anything to the point writing wise where I've been like, oh, I want this out in the world.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to. I want to keep them like to myself until I feel like that is something I want to do.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. It doesn't to me because I'm the complete opposite.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah. You and you know me. Like I'm just a kind of private about some of those things.
Uh-huh.
That's just kind of where I am.
Is that
all at that desk though?
that is what's interesting about the two of us. I am not at all.
Yeah.
Talk about it, put it out there to a fault. I mean, I don't
think it's to a fault. It's just different.
I'm thinking of certain situations.
You're like, it's fucked me.
Where I've shared things when I shouldn't have.
Fair enough.
And it's like I wish I could gobble that back up and maybe use some better judgment to not send that off. But for me, it's one thing where it's like, don't send it off at all ever and keep it private versus don't send it off yet because it's not ready. And those are two sort of different things. But
yeah, and I don't know when these things will land, but I mean, I feel like I'll know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just getting through it. It's just like sitting down and continuing to move.
I wonder how much private work some of our favorite writers have, like stuff that they wrote.
Dude, I was listening.
Like,
I was watching an Orson Welles
tons.
thing yesterday, and he's like, somebody asked him the question about his scripts being about regret and like power and darkness, and he basically said I thought his answer was pretty insightful. He said, "You know how many scripts I've written?"
Right. Yeah.
He said it's complete luck of the draw as to what gets made. But I've written scripts about every emotion that a man can feel.
Right.
Some of them are just more, they get made more than others. And I can't, he said at the end of an artist's life, it's almost dumb luck as to what gets turned into actual output.
I think about painters and how many paintings are painted over a painting.
Yeah.
That they just were like, nah.
Yeah, we don't want to move on. Yeah.
And they just painted over it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure.
Just, stuff that they just kept to themselves or never like, this isn't good enough, or I'm not really feeling it, or whatever it is. And they just, it's in the
and so
dusty corner
a
of
lot
the
of
studio.
people's first books or first novels just get tossed aside. And you take the learnings, and that's kind of another reason why I don't want to talk about that in particular.
Sure,
like,
it's the first time.
Yeah, like I might finish it, let a couple people read it, maybe not, and then just
Move on.
learn the lessons I learned, which
Yeah.
I am literally, I feel like I'm in school right now. Like
Right.
which is amazing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. And that's a good thing to even be cognizant of, because to me, it's always been, I have this goal or this result that I'm trying to achieve with my career or my money or success or attention or fame or whatever it is, a combination of all of it, where it's like a refusal to even consider abandoning a piece of work as sort of a training exercise or a good first crack, because this has to get me to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's another element of how we're different, because, you know, the idea to write this didn't dawn on you because it's going to create some commercial or personal benefit outcome that you're excited about, and you're going to sit down and get it done to get to that as quickly as possible. It's, you know, more from an artistic place, which is I have this idea or I have this thought or these people are talking in my head, or I can see the words that describe what's happening. I see a scene, a moment, I know the ending, whatever. And it's just, I have to put this out there, but it's not, okay, well, what's my plan when I have this done to contact publishers? Who am I going to go? Do I have a friend? Do I get on LinkedIn? What do I do this? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the kind of shit that I do.
Yeah.
It's, that's a cool idea. All right, immediately let's convert it into a career opportunity.
Yeah. I'll just find these things and I'll be like, oh, that's interesting. And like, I woke up the other day, I had this idea for, I don't know what it is. Maybe a short story or something, but this guy that tries to reconstruct ancient Egypt in the Caribbean.
Nice.
Like, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But I was like, that seems like there's probably something there that's interesting. I had this idea about these two people that are married, and this has kind of been done before, but I think it's interesting. I was listening to a John Cassavetes interview about the film Opening Night, and he's talking about the play within. He basically wrote a fake play to make this movie, and he's talking about the dynamics of like the play can't be good, but he's like, how do you write a bad play and not have it feel like it's within the character's mind, it's obviously not a bad play,
right?
And she's a very experienced whatever, so how do you write? And I thought that was interesting. So, but then what came from that was this idea about these two people, both married and in long-term relationships, and then they fall in love on stage, and beyond love, like there's like a lust connection,
the whole bag,
and they can only kind of, I guess, explore that when they're on stage together. And like, what would that be like? I feel like there's an interesting thing there for a film, if you can actually keep it. Like somehow there's a barrier that breaks loose when you're supposed to. Because there's interesting material there just in terms of the metaphor of performance art, and finding a character within yourself and things like that. But then there's also, I just think that's an interesting dynamic of like,
I do too.
You gotta cage yourself off because this is not acceptable in the outside world, but for some reason when you're inside of that, then it's totally acceptable.
Yeah.
And there's no difference. It's just.
But then also,
when you're in front of an audience of people, it becomes acceptable to lust after another person.
Right.
And this, I think I don't know. That's something I'm like, that almost is just a scenario that I'd like to play out. Like you get enough backstory to give two skilled enough actors enough of a grasp on those characters, and then see how that plays out, and then just put a camera and kind of follow that interaction.
Yep.
And then take it off of the stage and see how the repression looks. And that's interesting. That's the first time I've said it out loud. I literally thought about this last night. I was like, I wrote it in my phone. I'm like,
good.
What do you think about that? Like you have acting experience, like on stage.
Yeah, I've never had a role where there was a romantic element with another character, but I've thought about that a few times. Like I did a little short film when I was at Florida State, and I was like the guy that the main character was into and had a crush on. And, that idea of, well, what if the director wants a scene where we kiss or something like that, like how do I communicate that to Aaron? We weren't married at the time. Not that you have to be married to have that be okay or forbidden, but I'm like, and so when you mentioned your idea, I just sit there and go, it's this very odd place where your profession and your art sort of allow you to be intimate with another person. And sometimes I imagine it's full performance, it's clinical, there's no romance, there's no whatever, and you have to act. Yeah, but I'm sure, and obviously plenty of times actors and actresses have felt the spark and whatever, and had an affair or left their significant other to be with that person. I'm sure that stuff, I know that stuff happens all the time.
Oh, 100%. But what happens if you both have a strong enough idea of boundary? Yeah, or just enough of a grasp on that level of the forbidden.
There was that moment where a spouse sees it happening on stage, even though they're not physically touching each other, but sees that it's there.
There's a charisma or a chemistry between,
and it's not like some Orson Welles obscure movie, but it's The Greatest Showman with Hugh Jackman and Michelle Williams.
Great movie.
And the actress, I do like it, but the actress that he's on stage with, when he's looking at her singing that huge song, and Michelle Williams just it dawns on her, oh no. Yeah. But at the same time,
I feel like there's
something about the me in that situation trying to rationalize to my significant other, my wife. I personally want to see this person again on stage. I want to explore the lust. I want to explore the love. I can feel it happening, and I sort of have permission without hurting my wife because it's for the art or profession. When
this is my job.
When I know full well that
that was the interesting dynamic for me, is if both of these people are like you want this exploration, you want to see what this is like, you want you see a new world that you can explore.
Well, and you probably
without consequences, like a completely forbidden world that you're allowed to explore without consequences, but it's in this finite, and there's still consequences, like you said. You have a significant other,
right?
So what does that look like? What if we played that out in a 20-minute short film and just explored that dynamic? Could we one capture that just intensity of emotion and lust and
there was like elements of that. This wasn't from the same situation, but I as you speak about this, I keep remembering some of those scenes from the Jessica Chastain and Oscar Isaac version of Scenes from a Marriage, especially when she was seeing her boss at the startup or whatever, and they were talking through all of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was painful yet fascinating to watch, to see them, what felt like very real and truthful dialogue and dynamics and the questions that the one had and the pain they felt and all of that stuff. So also A Marriage Story comes to mind as well. These long scenes with dialogue of them hashing out all their conflict and their issues and all that stuff. And your idea lends itself to something like that as well.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting dynamic that I feel like some movies have just sort of touched on it. Like Greatest Showman, it's like an element in the story, but making it the story is interesting.
There's something too, if you're not too didactic about it and you really let it kind of explore itself, I think there's a lot there in the sense of what it takes to get something that's truthful.
Yeah. Well, and when the audience goes, I get it that this guy's doing this.
Like, wow, they feel like they're in love.
I hate him
Like,
because I'm with his wife as well. Like, what a betrayal.
yeah, but
what
at the same time, is there any way to actually differentiate between, like, man, they feel like they're in love. Look at how good they are at what they're doing. And it's like, how do you, like, there's no way other than a subjective eye to differentiate between those two things.
There's a really great play too.
I'm gonna have to cut this out too because it's not even.
I like it though. I mean, just don't
steal my idea. No, I'm just kidding. Do whatever you want, man. This has probably already been done. It's probably like a short story or something that I just haven't read, or
you should read
a film that I
as you
seen.
explore this. You should read Edward Albee's play called The Goat, or Who is Sylvia. It's fantastic, but it is this exploration of love and lust and betrayal and truth in a relationship, a long-term marriage, and the husband in the relationship falls in love with a goat.
Interesting.
And it's like this, seriously, one of the best plays I've ever read. I mean, like, it is
I feel like
fantastic.
I heard about it. Like,
I might have a copy of it.
It might have been you that brought it up, but somebody brought, like, I feel like a couple of weeks ago, somebody brought this up. Might be a different.
I haven't read it in a long time, but I remember reading it, and I'm like, every word of this is the truth.
If you have a coffee, if you have a copy, I'd love to.
I'm sure I do. Yeah, I love that script, that play.
Yeah.
Edward Albee's a good playwright to explore. I
wonder, like, I wonder how it would work as a play.
Yeah.
Like that idea.
I think it would work well.
Like, you write the artificial play, and then it is just almost like an acting experiment.
Yeah.
But I mean, you'd have to.
Right.
How do you get? That's just kind of a fucked up psychological experiment. When you're trying to, like, get two married people to fall. Well, never mind. I think that's how it would work as a play, like in the most technical definition of the word work.
Yeah.
But
there's a way to crack it.
Yeah. There's something there. I don't know. It's an idea I'll explore more.
Yeah. Here's a question related to this.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit more about craft. I latched on to you saying you had that thought and then you put it in your phone, right? Mm-hmm. So I was driving up to Fremont today and listening to the environment. I think I had the latest Tetragrammaton on and started going to an interior place, thinking about a way to an angle into this video. I was just talking about it, about the soul of an image and why I like shitty cameras. And I started just going all these ideas, and this flow state starts happening internally. And a part of me goes, you should probably, like, write this down or record this, because what happens to me is I get all that inspiration in that flow state. I'm in a car. I can't easily do this or that. And I just let it go.
Yeah.
And I don't forget all of it, whatever. But I'm like literally saying, like, voiceover scripting in my mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're losing all this. Yeah. So I said to myself, you remember listening to a lot of musicians talk about, and even like Jerry Seinfeld always has a pen and paper around. Yeah. Larry David has his journal. I mean,
we've talked about it on this show. The Guy Clark, just like in the back of a car, on a
that's
shitty
right.
cocktail napkin. And
all the to me, the artists and comedians and writers and all that, musicians, always get that stuff recorded somehow.
Yeah.
And this is part of my issue, and I won't unpack this too much, but it's sort of just like, I just always take the easy out.
Yeah.
Like, it's too much work to get the phone out. But I turn the voice memos app on, start talking.
I have like 100 of these.
I know, and I carry those with me. I literally have one in my bag. But then I'm driving and I go, well, I can't write stuff down, so I might as well not do it. So then I said, just get your phone out, turn on the voice memos app, and start talking.
Yeah.
And for 20 minutes, I sat there and rattled off all these ideas about.
Well, then you can send that you can transcribe that. super easy. Yeah.
Well, I went, what if, how can you just like send this to AI and both get a transcript, but then also get, a summary or something of it, bullet points or whatever. So I have a lot of respect for you for having an idea and recording it, because I'm either a lazy, or I have this confidence that I'm not going to forget any of this. It's going to stay with me, and then I'll access it later, which does to a certain extent happen,
that works.
But there are
I've
little
forgotten
details.
so many, like...
Yeah.
Well, and you talk about like a writing project.
Mm-hmm.
Like part of the cool thing about writing projects is to live with it.
Yeah.
And then something will present, like you'll go 3 days and you won't make any progress. You're like, I have no idea where this is going. I don't know how to move this thing forward. And then you're sitting and you overhear something, or you just, you notice an interaction in public between 2 or 3 people.
Right.
And you're like, I know exactly how to take this forward.
Yeah.
And so there's just been enough instances of that where I'm like, I just write this down, just like the most basic interpretation of what I'm seeing or thinking. And then usually if I cover enough, it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
Sometimes not, but most of the time. And then, it's happened enough where I've lost a good thing.
Yep.
Where I'm like, okay, there's something to just get it down and you can come back to it later.
And I think for me, AI is a tool that really unlocks, and there probably was ways to transcribe an audio file and, whatever. And maybe it was, fine 5 years ago, there was something that could do that pretty much no problem. But the fact that I can just drag that voice memo file into ChatGPT and just get a transcript of
Transcribe this for
makes me, it's another level of motivation to make it a reflex that when I get into that flow state to just open the voice memos app and talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
that's something I want to do more of. I read about how all of these authors like Dostoevsky and Proust, and they would just sit and transcribe to an assistant.
Yes, I know, right?
And I genuinely feel like I can't talk the way I can write. I don't know why that is, but I have partially speech patterns that I've developed, or just for some reason when I'm writing, I'm not writing to a voice in my head all of the time.
Yeah.
It's just kind of and when I'm talking, I am kind of echoing a voice in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is. That's just my experience. There's, I'm sure there's a lot of different experiences to that, but I really want to be able to write out loud.
But I wonder though if those guys were writing a framework, if it was like a really rough draft, what they were saying. I mean, I can't imagine. I'm sure there were moments of eloquent prose in what they were saying, but other
read
moments.
I think it was The Gambler, the preface to The Gambler, Dostoevsky.
Yeah. Not the James Caan movie.
The Jimmy Caan and then the Mark Wahlberg movie, which is also a fun watch. I think both of those have elements of this.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're not adaptations per se, but they are
inspired
by. Yeah. God, that's a good movie too. Both of them are. And the Mark Wahlberg one ends with the running, but anyways, what I was saying is I think I read in the preface to that book that he transcribed it over the course of a couple of weeks to an assistant, and it went from transcription to publish in a couple of weeks. I don't know how much of that is mythology or,
and if it's not
his version of like branding himself.
If it happened to be something that he was able to do, and obviously, maybe not to.
I mean, also like if you're a master of the form, you've you're probably able to edit live.
Yeah.
Like they always joke that
Or he's in a flow
John
state.
Ford would edit on set.
Right.
Cut.
Yeah.
All right.
But we
Got it.
editing
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Bogdanovich did that for Last Picture Show. He edited.
Yeah.
He shot it. He edited it in camera.
Well, and he was a disciple of John Ford, so I'm sure that's where that came from, and a disciple of Wells, who was fascinated with Ford's ability to edit. He was like, "You edit. You always go to the editing room, like, unless you're John Ford." And I mean, John Ford obviously edited. I have a textbook up there, I think, that talks about one of his films and the editing process on it. But I'm fascinated with that being able to verbalize these amazing prose and ideas.
Well, I wonder if some of the limitations for that too are nature or nurture. I'm sorry. It's more about, what
the process you learn.
It goes back to Neil Postman and living in a world where your brain is wired for imagery, not for speaking and oral tradition and verbal communication primarily. And for Dostoevsky, him being exposed to that early in his life. I mean, who knows how many stories he heard from adults or relatives or a grandparent or whatever, the stuff he learned in school, his just a natural talent for telling stories to people from an early age, because he sees what it does to his audience. And he just was exercising that muscle from a very early age, but then also was nurtured. That talent was nurtured versus something you might have to fight against because we are raised in an image-based culture.
Yeah.
So don't sell yourself too short on that. And that's what, as you were talking about Dostoevsky doing that, I was thinking back on Postman going, what are we losing by everything being so image-based? And is that an example? Like, we almost can't have an illiteracy in a sense.
Yeah. You could probably even argue, though, that images are more effective at translating the unexplainable qualities of our world.
Yeah.
I think some of the best prose is so effective because it is so image-based. It's so, you're perfectly capturing some grand visual metaphor or some visual idea in a very economic, presentation of a sentence or a couple of sentences or a paragraph. And I almost wonder if maybe our world being so image-based isn't, maybe it's not the same.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not worse.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's worse.
You talk about you think about Herzog and like the degradation of our language, and I think our language goes for phonetic and visual.
Yeah.
You could argue that for sure that our language is starting to degrade, or that the sophistication. Like, I don't think biblical imagery and TikTok. The average TikTok video is I don't think those are comparable things.
No.
And you probably are losing a lot in that fall off, but yeah.
I was watching a video from a movie critic and talked about the prevalence of having watched a lot of movies that have just incredible imagery, or sort of like you're bombarded in a very stimulating way with rapid fire imagery, or just like stunning visuals, whether it's the quality of the CGI or the way the spaceship moves or the way the characters are fighting or whatever it is. And you're just like so blown away with the imagery that it isn't until a few hours later, days later, where you go, but what the hell did I just watch? What was the story? You know, like this sort of vapid, soulless, nothing thing, because the brain of the creator is so connected to these powerful images.
Yeah.
And while they are beautiful,
they're empty.
Yeah, they're empty. It's missing the connective tissue and the quality storytelling and all the stuff that we crave. And part of why you might be particularly drawn to older movies, especially I like movies where I feel like I'm watching the filming of a play.
Yeah.
Big long master, like long takes, dialogue, room to breathe, all that stuff. I remember watching James Gunn's interview about the Superman movie, and it was such like a huge risk to have a 12-minute scene of two people talking.
Yeah.
In a superhero movie. Like this was someone taking a major creative risk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what it's come to.
Meanwhile, you've got The Shining on repeat all the time, and it's just the complete opposite.
Or Casablanca, or The Third Man, or The River. I have the Criterion version of that on Laserdisc.
What did I watch the other day? That's man, I've really been watching a lot of. I watched Touch of Evil the other day.
Mm-hmm.
The older I get, the more Welles was one of those people who, you take the first film class and you're like, Orson Welles.
Yeah.
And the professor is like, Orson Welles, this is the greatest film ever. And then, at least in my experience, I'm like, oh, going back, I don't think the professor believed that. I think it was more of like, this is the greatest because I need to say this.
I'm expected to.
Yeah. And I wish that the professor had that experience, or they would have just said like what their favorites were, because I mean we talked about it earlier this year with Citizen Kane in particular.
Yeah,
I do think like I'd seen that movie 4 times, and then we saw it last year downtown, and we left the theater. I was like, that might be the greatest movie I've ever seen in my life.
I mean, I was
that might be the best movie I've ever that's ever been put to the screen. And it just, something about it unlocked it for me. And the more I go back to Welles' work, F is for Fake, Touch of Evil. Touch of Evil is what I watched the other day, and I'm just blown away.
Yep.
And not because of the technical side that people get excited about. It's like that's completely secondary. It's just the craft of telling such a just resonant story. It's just such a truthful, just unafraid engagement with with the world. I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah, and then I watched The Immortal Story last night. Magnificent Ambersons earlier this year. I want to dive into more of his Shakespeare work, because I haven't explored that enough. And I'm just I don't even know what my original point was. I think we were talking
about that difference between
that different like going back to older. It's
films,
just so
films
rich
with incredible imagery, but lacking really high quality storytelling.
And that's the thing. It's just so rich compared to. I'm not saying there's not good films that have been released in the past 10, 15 years. Like that's a misconception, I think, where I'm just like, I Drive My Car comes to mind. Worst Person in the World comes to mind. Wolf of, I guess that was like 2013. Irishman is fantastic. Like there's plenty of phenomenal. I'm missing the best one is probably the Malick film that came out in 2019 about what is that?
I haven't seen that one.
It's probably the best film that's come out in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good work that has come out.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying that the quality is. I do think, we're in the middle of the shuffle. So obviously everything that gets put out, there's going to be plenty of bad stuff.
Yes.
But I do feel like.
Like one movie in particular we both recently saw.
Well, I guess we're kind of transitioning well to this, but It's The Hidden Life is the Malick film, by the way. But what I was going to say is it does feel like there's a bit of a fall off, and maybe that'll come. I have an interesting theory that I've never really discussed with you, but I don't think I was listening to this PTA interview, and he was talking about how there's always been these things, like One Battle After Another is this movie about like loops and how history kind of repeats itself and things. Like we're just, as humanity, we're in these constant cycles, even if we don't see them, and they might be a little bit different, but you know, the core humanity is pretty much the same.
Turnings, you could say?
Yeah, you could say, you know, the fourth turning or whatever, but this idea that that these loops have always happened, and he had this quote in this interview that we're selfish, we're being selfish, like these things that we're dealing with have always been present, they will always be present, and we're just being like very selfish to act like we're unique. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's a human urge to want to feel unique. And I just see the art that's like in times in history where there's been great strife, there's always been really great art that comes from that.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just premature or whatever, but it kind of, part of me is like, are we over dramatizing things because we have this self-image that is a byproduct of the last 150 years, 100 years. And because the art isn't there, like I'm desperately looking like, where's the art that is speaking to these seemingly worst times we've ever been in? It's not there. It's kind of hollow. So that makes me think, okay, this is probably just another this is probably another loop.
Well, and my concern is, and we don't have to go into this too much, is that we're so self-centered because of these forces we've talked about before, the century of the self, that we're so hyper-focused on our own individual pursuits and where we are in the race and with our own goals and objectives that we tune out those things that are happening in society and culture and the world, because that paying attention to that doesn't help me become
I wish
get
more
the
people
silver
I knew
play
would
button
tune it out.
or
I wish.
Yeah.
Like, because it
well,
seems
are these artists or are these just people that want to talk about it online? And
everybody has capability to be an artist, I think.
Well,
when everybody is focused on doing the things that they could justify as their art, like the thing that they are most into, I think that's when the world is the most beautiful. Yeah. And the world is never going to be the world is never going to be this perfect thing. But when you have everybody putting their attention towards the either finding the thing that they are most in tune with or expressing that, the world is going to be a better place when that happens. And right now I think there's just a lot of nonsense that's distracting everybody.
Yeah.
And I had a conversation with a friend of mine. He's an older person, and I'm just like you have this, and he's a very good musician, and he's a writer, and he's written musicals and things like that, and just getting caught up in like things that are of the moment. And I'm like you have a gift to create things that bring people beauty, that bring people like legitimate happiness, like from the core of their soul. Like I don't want to hear your thoughts on X, Y, or Z, surface level thing that nobody's going to remember in 5 months. I want you to go do what you do best, because that's where your life is going to be the best, and serving the highest purpose. And that's also going to the byproduct of that is going to reach out and touch everybody who interacts with that.
And I think that goes back to the conversations we've had where we've talked about like, where's the scene, or where's the movement, or where's this thing that feels like it is growing and accumulating
the real
velocity
one, not
and momentum.
not the one that's coming from X, Y, and Z PR firm.
Right, and that's a counterculture, a reaction to something, and that's what I mean. Like we're all sort of in our own lanes, that we've got blinders on to sort of like, maybe achieving whatever our objective is as it relates to peacocking, where our place is in comparison to our friends or people that we don't even know, that we want to look at us and go, oh yeah, you've got this and you've got that and you've accomplished this and whatnot, and that closing you off to taking in what's happening around you and responding to it through creativity. Again, whether it's music, an essay, painting, a podcast, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that then catching on with other people, and what they're making feels like it's a part of the soul and the vibe and the feeling that is developing in reaction to what's happening.
I think there's always been more fragmentation than we think. I think there was just a byproduct of having closed media circuits and things like that. It felt more of a scene. Like the more I think about it, the more I think maybe like the scenes were a byproduct, like a manufactured thing. Yeah. Maybe that isn't the natural way that humans interact or culture interacts with a society. But I do think that there are still like societal trends that I think you can see. I mean, I the new the iPhone came out.
Yep, iPhone 17.
Yeah, yep. iPhone 17 came out. Who cares? Like that's the reaction that I've found in, like, even with people in my life who I know for a fact it was a big deal when like the iPhone 5 came out or something, like,
and it was for me.
Who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, you're a good example. Like, you're a fan of Apple as a company. You have all of their products.
I want to care deeply about the iPhone 17.
See, but I just like talking about greater trends. Like, I feel like that's kind of a trend. I feel like we've like teched ourselves out. And so like all of the Postman things that we've read and the concerns, I'm like, oh wait, maybe the pendulum just swings naturally anyways. Like, there's no point in worrying about it. Like, it's kind of just, we've kind of gotten tired, and like there's almost, I don't want to go as far as saying this. I'm not going to actually, like, this isn't how I feel. It's obviously it's more complex than this, but you just have your humanity at the end of the day. And we are a body of humanity existing in a world that doesn't really, that allows us to exist. Like, it's, I don't know if it's quite if it's like pushing back against us, but it's just like, there's no, I don't think there's like a destiny there or anything like that. It's just, we coexist. We're forces that coexist. And, there's these things that pop up that are kind of man-made ideas or man-made movements or man-made whatever. And then that'll go for a little bit and then it'll come back, and on the grand scheme of history, none of it'll matter. And I don't know. I might have just had too much whiskey.
No, I think there's I think there's validity to that viewpoint on all of that stuff.
Like, the iPhone thing is a funny, like, I just remember how much people reacted. And even with all of like the fun stuff that's happening with AI or with this, and maybe that is just me being caught up in like a very like anti-tech sentiment or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't feel like I'm anti or pro anything. I'm just like, I appreciate technology. And I don't care about a lot of, I'm just kind of, I'm tired of being marketed to at a certain point, and it's like, okay.
What were we watching where it was like someone said something about like the perfection of advertising science or something. I feel
That was one battle.
it was one battle, yeah. That was one of the lines that I was like, that I love.
Yeah. Well, do we just want to? So we've kind of been circling around it the whole time. Do we want to talk about that?
Yes.
So we've probably got about 35 minutes of usable.
Yeah.
Maybe I could leave some of the other stuff, but
Let me put a button on what I was thinking at the end of what you said.
I also wanted to explore a little bit of, we've talked about it before, but you The Shining and Apocalypse Now and some of the,
Yeah. I'll put a button on that little chapter in this conversation, but it was, like you mentioned AI, and I had a flash of a thought, like, kind of the most exciting things for me in my life with the embrace of technology has been on the AI front in very simple ways. Every video that I make now, I master the audio.
Yeah.
I don't. I give it to AI and let it master it. And I am so grateful for this tool because I hated adding compressors and channel EQs and sweeping the thing and pulling this down and doing all that.
We've paid for we've given Autopod like $1,000 over the course of this podcast.
Right. Autopod, auto editing these 3 camera angles. And then, some of the, like as stupid as it is, I will get a vintage t-shirt and it'll have a tag in there. I'm like, or a symbol on it. I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is.
Yeah.
Today I was flipping through a couple shirts. I'm like, what is this? Take a picture, put it up on ChatGPT. I literally just go, what is this?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I sit there and I go, okay, I love this.
Yeah. It's great. I use it constantly,
and
it's added value, but it hasn't.
So my thing is, I get just as excited about those tools as I did when the iPhone 5 had LTE.
Yeah.
What? No more 3G?
Yeah.
I gotta get that fucking phone.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, unlike back then, there is a lot of pushback against technology lulling me with its siren song into this state of comfort that if I feel uncomfortable at all, something's wrong.
Yeah.
I need all of these things to be to just be like letting me float on air and just sort of move through life with the greatest of ease.
Yeah.
72 degrees, a slight air movement, no humidity. And I don't mean literally. I'm just saying like that's
a seamless existence. Yeah.
No friction, no pain, none of that stuff. And going, I had this thought with you and Audrey. I'm like, I want to get the tent thing that goes on the back of the truck, and I just want to go camping, but I don't want to like sit there and go, okay, well, hey, ChatGPT, what are the 10 essential tools you must have when you go camping within 50 miles of your home?
Yeah.
I'm going to go buy those things because I basically want to move my home, all the best things about living at home to this campsite so that I don't wake up hot, no sounds. I got a fan. Like, I just want to go struggle. I want to be in pain.
And you discover those things over time. And that's what makes those things special in the first place is that, man, it took me 15 trips to discover this one thing that really does add value every time.
Right. But then I also want to go, but I want to be careful that I don't audit every time I go do this thing to go, how can I make it just a little more comfortable? Mm-hmm. I want to find that sweet spot where it's like, I'm comfortable enough.
Yeah.
But I'm also dealing with some pain and discomfort that makes me feel fucking alive and present.
Yeah.
And that's the button I want. I want this hybrid existence of like trying to run through water. Mm-hmm. And also I don't have to run. This thing just puts me on a cushion of air and takes me along. Like,
Yeah.
and I want to have.
Well, there's certain things I don't want to run through.
Yeah.
There's certain tasks, and that's where, some of this technology is so special. Like I see things all the time where people are just like completely anti-technology, and we're certainly not that. I think you can go back and listen to any old episode, and it's like, okay, these guys are clearly a little bit whatever technology pilled or whatever you want to call this, but but at the same time, take a lot of the problems that technology is really good at solving were problems that weren't really problems until we started poking at things.
Yeah.
As a society, as human beings, when we started fucking with things, we created new problems that now in 2025 you have to solve with certain pieces of technology
or products or
and
services.
So, it's you're playing the game. I don't want to check out of, we went and got a sandwich for lunch. I can go get coffee in the morning. I use my, computer to write, or I'll use my typewriter, but it's depending on what I feel like doing that day, I can do it. I can have the TV going in the background. I like those things. I've talked about it 100 times on this show. Like, I like those things. I want that to be a part.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the bullshit friction that we have created from, poking in and poking things coming out the other side. Yeah. Let's try to effectively solve those things with technology. And I get it. Sure. Would it be better if we didn't create those things in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's not the time I live in. That's not where I am.
I think of I'll wrap this up, my thing up with.
There it is.
with a little scene.
I'll wrap this up.
Yeah. The scene is I'm pulling out of the garage in the truck, and I haven't plugged my phone in yet to the cord that lets CarPlay come up. I have a garage door opener on the visor, and then I have my phone. When my truck was new in 2019, I could plug my phone in, and almost instantly CarPlay came up, and I could hit the button on the screen that lets me close my garage door through the wireless bullshit that, lets me do that. Dude, when I plug my phone in now, I swear it takes 45 seconds for the infotainment system to boot up.
Yeah.
And then the phone to be registered.
Yeah.
And then CarPlay to boot onto the screen. And I wait for it every fucking time.
Yeah.
But I could just reach up and push a button on an old...
Yeah.
It's not even infrared. It's a wireless communication.
That's the thing that people are pissed off with this tech about, is that happens.
Yes. And
if it took you 5 seconds in 2019, it should take you 5 seconds in 2025. No excuses.
And the point of it is someone's going, well, we got to make these people get new trucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Meanwhile, people that drive trucks from 1990 and...
Dude, there was a guy at the thrift store the other day who had, I swear to God, it was like a 1990 little Toyota pickup. It wasn't even a Tacoma. It might have been a Tacoma.
One of the smaller ones?
Tiny little fucker.
Yeah.
And so he's getting into the truck with his granddaughter, and the windows are open, and I'm like, God, your truck is amazing. No rust on it. It's beautiful. And I'm like, how many miles do you have on this thing? He's like, 270 something. I'm like, would you ever consider selling it? And he's like, this guy's like, got to be 88 years old.
I said, hell no.
I was this close to giving him my card and being like,
please let me buy your truck.
If you ever decide you want to let it go.
Those Toyotas will go to there's people on Reddit that are just, mine's got 1.2 million on it. I've replaced a couple of, I replaced the transmission one time or something.
I'm like, I just want to get that with a little tonneau cover and then go to estate sales in my little tiny Toyota Tacoma. It was a 4 or 5 speed. I think it was a 5 speed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's unbelievable. Like, and this is what gets me, is that everything has to have a computer. Like, I don't buy old things because it's like a vibe. Like most of the old things I buy the old thing because it's simple.
Yeah.
The bike that's a 2023.
Mm-hmm.
It has no computer in it. Like it is as simple as it gets.
Analog, baby.
It is as analog as it gets. I don't buy analog to be like analog. It's just I like knowing that something's going to work.
Yep.
Every time I need it to. And I also like knowing that after 6 years, it's going to work the way it worked when I bought it.
Yeah.
Not getting slowed down because of 6 software patches that were unnecessary.
You know, I like some of this analog stuff too, because I like that sometimes I have to like get it fixed or service it.
Yeah.
Or like my Marantz receiver must have blown a fuse. It's making a weird noise. So I have to like take it to my buddy Byron and hang out with him for 30 minutes. And then he's going to fix it. I'm going to pay him $80 and then I'll go pick it up and then I'll bring it home and I'll reconnect it and I'll be excited. Or I picked up this, like, it must be World War II, a World War II pea coat, you know, a Navy issued pea coat.
Yeah.
But it's missing 3 buttons. So I ordered them on eBay.
And
I'm gonna take them to a tailor to have it sewn properly. I mean, I can sew, but I'm not gonna do it like the right way.
No, I get it.
That U.S. mail bag, the leather mail bag, I took it to a tailor and they stitched up the seam.
That you had.
The chair, the armrest. Like, there's something fun about, well, and then records, you know, and obviously you can cross over into a place where, you know, kind of like your marriage or the play, you know, like, yeah, you can make out with the actress during the play because that's what has to happen.
Yeah.
But if you cross over into something else, we got a problem.
Yeah.
Same thing with records. If you guys start going to estate sales and you're like, babe, where we go? We got to go.
Yeah.
And you just like got boxes of shit all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, your truck's full up of random crap you don't need.
I don't really have a fear of, I feel like I really don't like having things around. I get anxiety if I have things that I don't use. I like to use everything I have.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Do we have anything else we want to cover here? We can get on here and talk about how we love analog. So we will do it.
So
for an hour.
I'll segue this into one battle. So one of the things I loved about that movie.
So do you want to give some pretext or
maybe? How about I just get into this point and then we do a pretext. So we'll segue with this. There's a portion in the movie.
This is going to be the most like current events thing we've ever talked about too. I don't know why, but I guess maybe we've earned it with the fucking
we have. If these fuckers don't talk about that movie. But the thing is later in the movie when Leonardo DiCaprio is older, he's at a place where he doesn't have a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember sitting there going, what's that like?
Yeah.
I'm like, God. Jealous. And he just like doesn't have a choice. He just can't have a cell phone. And there's something interesting about what that would be like. And I don't spend a ton of time on my phone. I'm not like TikTok and all this stuff. And it's
Get
there.
A flip phone.
I know.
Get a flip phone.
Again,
I'll buy you one.
Again, like today when I was out at the estate sales, dude, the only time I pulled my phone out was to check records value. You know, maybe if I got a message about an item that sold, I quickly checked or whatever.
You've never had a phone problem per se.
No.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like if I'm waiting in line at the estate sale by myself, I'll like buzz through some social media or like I'll use the phone as a thing to kind of just pass the time or whatever. But I do not have a phone problem.
It had been a golden afternoon, and I remember having the familiar conviction that life was beginning over again with the summer.